I know I'm supposed to be telling you, dear diary. Oh, this is part 4 of Christopher's Bellevue adventure. I'm supposed to be telling you more about Bellevue, but I'm digressing because I could probably kill myself tomorrow, or Bloomberg could finally get smart and hire somebody to hit me with a car. Believe me, I won't be missed. Most humans recognize me as their enemy. I am the enemy of the humans because the humans are the enemy of everyone else. And if I could train my kitty friends to slaughter you all, oh, I would, believe me. I'm hoping my squirrel army will be fully trained and armed before January 1st, 2012. Dare to dream. I was talking a moment ago about... Oh, I was going to give you one more Bloomberg scandal. And this is the way all politics works. Bloomberg didn't invent any of this shit. The guy's, and none of his fascism is even remotely original. Remember, Hitler, no less than Adolf Hitler, warned you about Mike Bloomberg. How ironic is that? He said, and it's sad too, because I'm one of those people who thinks Hitler was a monster. Now, if he had gone after all human beings, I probably wouldn't have complained. But he discriminated, and I'm not into discrimination. Most of my friends are Jews. And it might be racist to say my favorite race might be Jews. I do find them to be funnier, smarter, more creative, more artistically inclined. Not so good with sports. And but I really like the Irish too, the real Irish. I do like Latinos though, because they're down to earth. Go to any bodega, they're funny. You know, if you're shy a couple pennies, they don't give a fuck. They're like, sure, it's cool. They're really casual, really nice, down to earth people. My mother taught me that Hispanics would all carry knives, and so you got to be careful not to get stabbed. That's what my fucking retarded mother was like. Remember, we have to change the rules. You have to. If you have to pass a test to be able to drive a car, you must pass a test, a much stricter test to have a child. We can't keep this shit up. We tried it. It never worked. What's more dangerous? A person driving a car who can't drive? Or a human being that's been turned into a mass murdering psychopath like Mike Bloomberg? I mean, I think his mother loved him, but nobody else did. And that's why he wants everybody to like him. That's why he bribes so many people with money that he just writes off on his taxes anyhow. Did you know that? Why didn't any reporter think that was worth reporting? Mike Bloomberg has the best tax lawyers on earth. They say how charitable he is. Almost $300 million a year he's given to charity. Oh, well, you mean almost $300 million he wrote off on all of his business expenses and his foundation and all that shit. Of course, remember, we're talking about his foundation that's in the Cayman Islands, which is a tax shelter. It's not really that worth talking about. That's why the newspapers will tell us how many pairs of shoes Mike Bloomberg owns. They reported that was a big story for a whole week. Mike Bloomberg puts ice in his beer. That was a big story for a whole week because New Yorkers really needed to know. I wonder how Mike Bloomberg likes his beer. Journalists are the root of all evil. But here's an example of something that really pisses me off, really gets my goat. Example. Now, everything you've been told by the media is a lie. Everything from pensions to everything they tell you is fucking horseshit. Sometimes, no joke, sometimes they just make the shit up completely out of thin air. Remember, they can write... What's to stop the Fox News from telling you about a study or a survey that says... a poll that says 75% of people think they got to crack down on pensions for teachers? What is there? Who polices the media? What would stop a Fox executive from just claiming that? And then his staff reports it. There's nothing to stop him from doing it. You know, yeah, sometimes they fake it elaborately, but sometimes they don't even bother to fake it elaborately. I've had articles written about me where the reporters just made shit up out of thin air. You have no idea what the media is like. Even good media is bad. Newsday used to be a great paper. They were pretty honest and good. And yet when I wrote an op-ed for them in 2001, was it 2001? Might have been 2005. When I wrote an op-ed, no, it had to be 2000. No, wait. Oh, whatever. When I wrote an op-ed for them, they fucking changed my statistics to protect City Hall. And then it took me 2 weeks to get them to finally admit they were wrong. And they finally said, oops, we were wrong. We changed all your numbers. We thought you were wrong. We were wrong. Oops. And I said, well, I'd like you to print a correction, because not only did you fuck up my facts, but you made it look like I was the one who had the wrong facts. I didn't write that shit. You did. I've had editors insert completely fictional sentences they wrote themselves. You people don't know. When you read shit, that shit doesn't count for shit. There's nothing less reliable than media. I can't say that enough, because they control everything you believe and think. Wake the fuck up. You think, oh, they're not just going to make shit up out of thin air. Yes, they are. And they've gotten caught doing it tens of thousands of times. Oh my God. And in fact, I've seen so many things. I would even say more than half of what I've read in my life that I know about personally is the opposite of the truth. Like when they say Bloomberg cares about trees, and he spent hundreds of millions to cut down tens of thousands of trees. They all know he cut down the trees. But to show you how insane you are, you can't almost walk down any block in all 5 boroughs without seeing a dirt square. Do you really not see the dirt squares on every block? Every block you walk, there's a big giant square cut into the concrete, the curb. And there used to be a tree there. Actually, that's not even accurate. When I told you he cut down like 50,000 trees, that's misleading. That's only part of the story. Hundreds of thousands of trees were murdered as he was golfing in Bermuda. And I can give you more facts of that, because you probably doubt me. Because you probably say, well, Christopher was right about everything else, but this time I'm going to doubt him. This time I'm still going to doubt him, because I've been brainwashed literally since birth. And I can't undo that brainwashing. I still go think, maybe Christopher's exaggerating here. No. Why are there missing trees on almost every fucking block? I can show you blocks where there's 8 missing trees on one sidewalk. I have photos too like that. I can show you blocks where there's 5 missing trees. So don't get this thing, he says 1 block, 1 missing tree per block, or almost 1 missing tree per block. That's great. That's exaggerating. What? I can show you blocks with 8 missing trees. 1 single block. Stop doubting the smart guy. Holy fuck. I can make these diaries much more succinct. I shouldn't have to explain everything. I've given you some examples. From now on, give me the fucking benefit of the doubt and believe what the fuck I say, and believe everything I say until you find me say something that isn't correct. Okay? Is that a deal? Holy fuck. I think we can get back to Bellevue. So this isn't interesting though. So I was drunk, went in, it's a signs of stuff, Oh, I didn't actually finish the part about the Coalition for the Homeless, did I? Signs on the wall that say these people are allowed here at any point without any supervision. It's like, yeah. Amnesty International wanted to do that with Rikers Island, and Giuliani said, fuck off. The media is not allowed to get inside Rikers Island, the world's largest concentration camp. I wonder why. Just fucking crazy shit. And now they can get away with here, but this is what Giuliani and Bloomberg would tell a federal judge. He'd be like, we hear all these stories about you violating human rights. You've gotten caught violating human rights. Why can't we monitor your concentration camp, world's largest? And Giuliani then says things like, well, and his lawyers, the lawyers you're paying $700 an hour for, sucker, say things like, here's one of the lies they'd use, and say, oh, well, it's because it's dangerous. It's jail, remember? Rikers Island is filled with criminals, murderers, crazy killers. We can't let any kind of fucking monitors go in there. I mean, that's too dangerous. And the judge goes, that seems to be a pretty good point. I'm going to not allow you to have any kind of monitors go in there. So we're just going to trust the mayor that everything's going good in that concentration camp and not violating the human rights. Remember, half the people in Rikers are detainees. They're not convicted criminals. They just couldn't pay their bail. So the government holds them hostage for a year until they have a chance to clear themselves in court, sometimes 2 years. They just cleared a guy in Queens. They were holding him for 3 years illegally without bringing him to trial, despite the Sixth Amendment's obligation that they bring him to trial. He couldn't pay his bail, so he couldn't get out. Or they might not have set bail in that case, but whatever. You can't bring him to trial 3 years later. He had to go. They let him out. He sat in jail for 3 years for nothing. I mean, he'll get a huge chunk of money, but they couldn't even do that. They broke federal laws. Why aren't they in jail? Because the media says we're instead going to talk about what Kim Kardashian had for lunch today. And you really think it's because everybody wants to know? You see it. Look at the papers today. Look at the media today. They have more non-celebrities pretending they're celebrities than ever before. It's like, these celebs. And they're like people who are on like a fucking 20th rate cable channel that nobody watches. Celebrities. No. Cut. You people, it's a fucking revolution. All right? You've got to start fucking waking up. The Nazis are murdering you and you don't even know it. They're fucking killing you every day. They're stealing all your money and killing you. They just don't have the class to put you out of your pain and misery. And it's getting worse every day. Like I've been warning you for 20 years with fucking Republicans. Do you understand that? They will not allow monitors in Rikers Island. Of course, one well-known secret of Rikers Island is there's almost no danger there. Remember, it was even Giuliani himself, who said there's no violence. We got rid of all the violence and crime in Rikers. They didn't. That's a lie. But don't get me started. But you don't know. Most people are surprised by this. Most of Rikers, most guards, correction officers, COs we call them, are women. There is almost never a point where murderers are not in an open room with a woman in the same room, sometimes alone with that woman. There is almost never a situation where you'll have a rapist who's in jail in Rikers Island who is not in a room with a female that he could attack. But most people in Rikers are respectful. And most people in Rikers for drugs. They're not in jail for rape or murder. They're in jail for drugs. That's what almost everybody's in jail for. And there's almost no danger in Rikers. Civilians walk around all the time. We're almost never chained up. Okay? We're not in cells usually. It's open. You almost always have, most of the dorms are 60 beds, 60 inmates on 60 beds. And one guard in the room with us, in the dorm with us, and then a second guard in a plexiglass cage watching as a backup. Nobody attacks, and it's almost always a female in a room with 60 convicted criminals, or 60 detainees, depending on which jails you're in. Now, most people go, that's kind of crazy. It is and it isn't. What is crazy is that Bloomberg and Rudy Giuliani, being super Nazis, put male guards in charge of female prisoners. Now stop and think and put on your detective hat. What might go wrong with male guards watching female prisoners? I'd say did you notice that that's a double scandal? It's a scandal because the guard can easily say, hey, I got your food here. Do you want it? Well, how badly do you want to eat? How badly do you want lunch? Is it worth sucking my cock? And a lot of women are going to go, eating, is it worth sucking his cock? I'm fucking starving. But it works both ways. Can she say, give me a pack of cigarettes, you want to suck your dick? Can she say, can a female criminal get away with some very bad things by seducing the male guards? Gee, I wonder. I really, really wonder. Also, it's not a secret. It's well known that female prisoners are much worse than male prisoners are. They're much more psycho. There are endless stories. I mean, I've interviewed all kinds of inmates. I've interviewed all kinds of guards. Over the years, I mean, for 20 years, I've been interviewing all kinds of people. Weird. That was scary. So that was the first sign of life. And I guess he looked like he was staff or something. They don't really. He seemed to be dressed in street clothes. And he opened the door, looked in, looked around, and then went, okay, and closed the door. Perhaps he's doing a count or something. I don't know. So far, it doesn't seem like they're very strict here. But I didn't want them to come in and see me. Oh, wait, I smoked pot in here. He could have opened that door and said, smells a little pot-like. But I was afraid he'd see the laptop. And I mean, I could think of a dozen reasons why that could be potentially bad. He didn't even knock. How rude. What if I was changing? So I hope they're not doing a count, because I really would love the ability to stay here. And right now, I'm only supposed to stay for one night. But you only stayed for one night. That's a Deep Purple song. Good one, too. Look it up. Hard Loving Man? No. Living Wreck. It's about a groupie, I guess. A terrible groupie. Great song. Living Wreck. Listen to the studio version. Great. Trust me, you're going to say, this is fuck. Why have I never heard this song before? American radio doesn't play that album. That album is a fucking work of art. Crazy shit. In rock. But America doesn't play it. It's one of the biggest fucking albums ever in Britain. But for some reason, American radio, just like they wouldn't play Nirvana's first album, which is great, but would play Nirvana's second album. American radio, pretty dirty, like everything else America does. I mean, I'm not just shitting on America. Obviously, humans are monsters, but the Swedish aren't nothing like fucking savage Nazis we got here. Burp. It is almost 2 a.m. Oh my God. They might force me out of bed at 8 in the morning. I don't know yet. That seems to be the rule. They did give me a sheet with all my rights, saying, it says things like, you can't they can't force you to do this. No guard can ask you for a bribe. No. But the story goes that I'm brand new. My first time ever in a city shelter. Came in, they fingerprinted me, took my photo. That was sad. I've been asking all the people. I was a transsexual who checked me in. Sweet guy with earrings, black guy, black transsexual who did my intake, all the paperwork and stuff. He was pretty friendly. He told me, I usually like to cut beneath the veneer, and he told me a lot of shit and said, it's true, what they do is very fucked up. Bloomberg is much more corrupt than Giuliani was. Everyone tells me that in social services. Coalition of the Homeless told me that. Everyone said the same thing. Everyone I've asked. I said, who's worse? Is it worse now or when under Giuliani? And they always say the same thing. Bloomberg is much worse than Giuliani. And I've been saying that without ever hearing these stories. I've been saying that for fucking 7 years. Ooh, I want a Snickers. So, now most people would hate it here. I love it here because I'm not like humans. I love solitude. I can get all my work done. I could play fucking ukulele every day for the rest of my life. Put me in a fucking cave and leave me there forever. I got a bathroom. I got a vending machine downstairs. Well, I'll run out of money and food, but oh, and the vending machines are reasonable, which makes sense. It should be reasonably priced and subsidized because it's homeless. Oh, so after the transsexual guy, it's very nice, gave me some tips. Then I had to go with the IT guy. He fingerprints me, takes my photo, and he told me some fun stuff. I got into his personal info. One thing though that you should care about is he said, they had a white backdrop behind me as they took my picture. A white backdrop, and I was making some jokes because I was drunk. And I was saying, I had some talk with some great guys in the lobby. I was telling these two old-timers, old white guy and an old black guy. We were having a great talk. I was telling them all kinds of dirty secrets about Bloomberg and the press. They were loving it because we were just waiting for fucking 50 minutes to be interviewed. We were all newbies there. And then the IT guy, he said, I said, can you make sure I look good in this photo? I said, tell me, do I need to fix my hair or something? You guys should have a mirror here. I said, because this photo could last for the rest of your life, right? This could be the one photo they use of you in the newspapers. And then I said, and what's this white crap behind me? I said, at least you guys could do is have like some pretty scenery, right? We're homeless. You're supposed to be giving us hope and spirit. There's once in a while you'll see signs around this place that are like, that are like make you feel positive about life. This place is filled with homeless guys who've been beaten down by the most evil city in mankind's history. A little inspirational little sign here and there. And yet they can't put a beautiful scenery behind my photo. But then he said no. He says that's because they're adapting all the shit to face recognition, the facial recognition systems, the 1984 super Nazi fascism bullshit. And I'm sure that shit's going to work great. No, it isn't. But somebody's going to make trillions of dollars in contracts. And he was saying, we were talking about the contract stuff. He said all this expensive shit we're using here, all this, the fucking fingerprint scanners, all this shit. He said this shit breaks down endlessly. I said, of course it does. It's called capitalism. You can't make shit that works. Remember though, 50 years ago, they did make products that were good. I still have the same clock radio from when I was fucking 7 years old. It still works. You know why? Because in the 80s, hyper-capitalism hit. And hyper-capitalism said, you got to make the shittiest products imaginable. Because you want to cut your workers' pensions and benefits. You want to cut their health care. You want to slash and burn so you can have 50 mansions. Because who could be happy with 3? Bloomberg's got 5. You know why he's got 5? Because 2 weren't enough. And so what if the other ones sit empty? He doesn't give a fuck. He's a sociopath. And there's only one way people should deal with Nazis. But they'll use that and say, oh, Brodor's threatening the mayor. No, I'm not. I'm saying every American has a legal right to kill him under the law. That's not the same thing as a fucking threat, assholes. And besides, that's what America stands for. Overthrowing your own government. Remember, if you say anything otherwise, you're fucking anti-American, you fucking Nazi. So fuck off. Fuck off. Wait, I don't know how. Shit. I don't know if... Oops, pardon me. Trying to see here. Oh no, I think I might have gone too long. Shit. We're going to pause this to see if I think this is more than 20 minutes. End. Well, let's just cut to the chase. End of part 4.